So the year of 2025 saw all outer planets shifting signs, and it was giving us this little snapshot preview as to what's to come in 2026, because many of them then would retrograde back into their previous sign. However, 2026, we're seeing them go into their new signs for good. So it's kind of creating this entirely new landscape for us to navigate in 2026. Let's get into it. This is the astrology for January for the new year. Welcome in. If you haven't been here before, my name is Brittany. I'm a Gemini, and I think that basically sums it up. I'm an astrologer, clinical nutritionist, and a Pilates instructor. So most of my content will be centered around that. We've had this ongoing Saturn-Uranus sextile happening throughout most of 2025, right? And so in 2026, we're kind of seeing the finality of this, and it's like closing out this major chapter. So Saturn has been in Pisces, and that's been like trying to give form to the formless, and it's going to shift from Pisces into the Mars ruled sign of Aries. So while Saturn was in Pisces, it was like dissolving outdated structures and boundaries. And now in Aries, it's like creating this entirely new way of being disciplined and taking action and kind of being more proactive when it comes to asserting ourselves and staying true to the boundaries. And while Saturn was in Pisces, we had Uranus in Taurus, which was somewhat stable and predictable. Now that's being dissolved away. Our old ways of being are now no longer suitable. There's a new way for us to exist, and that's what we're kind of figuring out in 2026. So sextile energy is more harmonious in terms of an aspect, but it's something that requires us to act upon it for it to really fully come to light. With Uranus and Gemini, is really going to bring, I think, a lot of AI and tech related themes to the forefront. We're seeing that already with just like the surge of artificial intelligence. Can't really get away from it. But being sextile energy, this is something that requires us to actually put energy and intention into it. So that gives us this element of choice and control as to how we wish to harness this new way of technology. How do you want to form a relationship with that? So in the beginning of January, we're going to see Mercury, the planet of the mind, shift into the really nice, stable, grounded sign of Capricorn. And while there, it's going to join with the Sun, Venus, and Mars. So heavy on the Capricorn energy. And this is going to be really favorable energy for us to kind of map out the year ahead, set some goals, set some intentions, resolutions, whatever you want to call them, right? But doing so in a way that feels grounded, slower, sustainable energy. So we're getting rid of the all or nothing mindset. Leave that in 2025. More about how we want to experience the year rather than ticking boxes and achieving certain metrics. Then we have Chiron stationing direct on the 3rd. This is the same day that we have this Cancer full moon. This is a really beautiful energy. So this is Chiron retrograde. It's been in Aries, so it's around our self, our identity, how we assert ourselves. Chiron itself is more like the wounded healer, but in Aries, it's kind of like the wounded warrior. So where have we felt wounded around our ability to assert ourselves and actually express ourselves and actually take ownership and leadership and kind of agency over our lives? Like, where have we been wounded or harmed in those areas? And then Cancer, the full moon in Cancer, it's in its home sign. This is a really beautiful, soft, nurturing energy, releasing those past pains, licking the wounds, really holding space for yourself, all parts of yourself, releasing those things that aren't serving and aren't creating safety. So with this Chiron stationing direct, the supermoon in Cancer, cardinal signs are likely to feel this energy more intensely. So that is your Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and Libra. And then as we enter the second week of January, we're going to have this moon in Virgo, trining the Sun, Mars, and Venus that are still all in Capricorn. And this is the type of energy to help us infuse what had come up during that full moon. Because a lot can come up during the full moon. It can feel kind of intense, very emotional, considering that it is in the sign of Cancer. And so when the moon then slips into Virgo, we become a lot more like practical and logical, and we can start to kind of really infuse all of the messages, all of the information that came to us during that time and kind of set that into motion. And because of that heavy Capricorn energy, it's giving this practicality with passionate creativity. Mars is discipline without force. Right? So devotion, not discipline. That's the energy to carry through January. And with Venus there, that's love expressed through reliability, boundaries as self-care, and finding yourselves more attracted to those things that seem sustainable and reliable and practical and that feel nice for your nervous system, not chasing the drama anymore. There is this sextile to Jupiter that's still in Cancer that's going on, which is really emphasizing like our nurturing and emotional growth. So January 11th, you want to note this one down on the calendar. This is our 111 portal. And this one's monumental because we are entering the year of 2026, which numerologically, this is a year one. It's technically a 10, and that reverts down to a 1. So a 1 year, right? And then the 111 portal being the 11th of January in a 1 year. Ones are all about these new beginnings. Like 111 is really this potent time of really setting the tone of what you want for your life. This is less about what happens that's outside of our control, but who you want to be when everything's happening around you, how you want to respond, how you want to react, how you want to engage with that environment around you. Manifestation starts from you, like it starts from within. It's not about influencing or manipulating or trying to control the external because we don't have control over that. It's about changing your internal state. And this is a really potent day where the energy is going to be heightened. The veil between the 3D and the spiritual realms is thinner. You may feel more intuitive at this time. Beautiful day to ground out, carve out time for you to sit and to really stew on who you are and who your higher self is and how you can cultivate more of them, because your higher self is not like this separate personality for you to try and like map out and reach towards. Like, you are already them. They are the version of you that is your most authentic self, the one without the self-doubts and the limiting beliefs, right? We see creative breakthroughs and breakthroughs in finances occurring towards that like middle to end half of January, because Uranus at Centaurus is going to form a trine to Mars, Mercury, and the Sun all in Capricorn. It's also a sextile with Saturn to Neptune, and so this is really blending this intuition, our discipline. This energy is really fostering these innovative solutions, build more stable foundations when it comes to finances or relationships. Towards the end of the week, we then have Venus that's going to shift from Capricorn into the sign of Aquarius. So we've gone from this like grounded, steadfast, practical, reliable energy of Capricorn, now shifting into this quite eclectic, unconventional, nuanced, quirky, authentic, future focused, self loving sign of Aquarius, right? This is further enhancing this energy of innovation and further enhancing our desire to seek out our most authentic selves and embodying those. And I'm going to keep reiterating that fact because it's proven that authenticity is the most high vibrational energy to operate out of, being your most authentic self. And we are just bombarded with, like, we learn from observing other humans, right? And traditionally, the humans that we were observing were just in these close, intimate community, tribal type circles, like the people we saw at work, our family, our friends, like the smaller communities that we engaged in real life. And now we are seeing hundreds, if not thousands, hundreds of thousands of people over the internet. We are flooded with little snippets and insights into everyone's lives. And so we're kind of in this constant state of observing, and then we quietly shift that into this like comparison mindset, right? Seeing these curated feeds, these filtered, perfectly poised shots of people's, like the highlights of people's lives, right? And so we're observing that and trying to embody that ourselves, almost like trying to obtain this image of perfection. And we're kind of stifling out our own inner authentic, like our higher self is there being like, but these are the things that are actually genuinely like what light me up and what please me. But then we're seeing these mass produced, like these trends, dare I say, online, and then we're thinking, okay, but I think I desire this, but the world's screaming at me to kind of be like that. And so we kind of get a little bit lost in the maze. And so when the energy shifts into more of like Aquarius season, and we're going to see Venus there, like your style and your beauty and what you love and what you desire is going to be that of what is authentic and genuine to you. And that's going to look different to the people around you. That then leads us to a new moon in Capricorn. Really beautiful new beginnings, set those new intentions around kind of heading into the new year. And again, like, who do you want to be this year? How do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? Can't control what's going to happen around you. You can have some level of control over how you respond or react to the things and what you choose to engage with, what you choose to give your intention and your energy towards. So this new moon in Capricorn, opportune moment to write a contract to yourself. The sun and the moon are going to be in Capricorn along with Mars and Mercury. So this is a really intentional, there's a lot of energy behind it. This is not just about wishing upon a star. This is an agreement to yourself, a commitment. And then towards the very end of the month, we're going to wrap up with Neptune re-entering Aries. This is the archetype of the spiritual warrior. This is the one that fights for what's right. Neptune in Pisces was more about idealizing the victim and the guru. Neptune in Aries is about taking action and fighting for the rights of others. That's going to be amplified even further as more planets start to shift into Aquarius. Aquarius is that very innovative, but yet the humanitarian zodiac. Right, so there's going to be a big emphasis on that, doing what's right for others, fighting for what's right, fighting for the rights of others, making a commitment to yourself, choosing devotion over discipline. We're getting rid of that all or nothing mindset. We're committing to ourselves, who we want to be, our most authentic selves. We're tuning out the external noise. We're tapping back into that quiet inner knowing that only we can hear and trust, right? Of course, there is still lots more to come. So be sure to follow along for more astrology updates, TikTok, Instagram, as well as here on YouTube. I love you all so much. Don't forget, personal chart readings are available if you want to kind of map out and work with these currents and how they apply to you based on your personal natal chart. I love you so much. Thanks for being here. Bye.